Welcome to Finding Success podcast. I'm Antti Pietilä, and today we are going to talk about business software and using ratings and reviews to increase sales, or if you are looking for business software, how to read ratings and reviews to find if the software is any good or whether the rating has been tampered with. So to talk with me today is Dylan Woodham from Gartner Digital Markets. Dylan is from Barcelona, Spain, and welcome to the show, Dylan.
Thank you so much, Antti, for having me. It's a pleasure, and yeah, it's really interesting how we met each other as well in SaaS Talk in Dublin. So thank you for having me.
So let's go to the topic. When you are buying a business software or actually any product, you want to know whether the software or the product is any good. And social proof, what others are saying, is obviously really important. And in the digital world, we're talking about ratings and reviews quite much. Of course, the word of mouth is important, but often it's the ratings and reviews that are important, at least in the beginning when you're shortlisting vendors, that you want to know that what others are seeing as a hot product and what are the other experiences that others are having. And you work with these issues in Gartner, so I think this you're just the right person to help vendors out in this area.
Yeah, for sure, right? When we look at our reviews and ratings that we help collect for the vendors, it's really to empower the customers to make the right software decision. And now, day and age, we don't even buy a sock without looking at reviews, or we don't even go to a restaurant without looking at reviews. So it's an integral part in the customer journey for software buyers. You know, when you look at a $10 socks to buy on online, you're looking at reviews. Why would you buy a $30K ERP software on a whim without looking at reviews? So it's a really crucial part in the software journey. And I was thinking about why, or the main reason, or the main reason why customers are looking at reviews is essentially they're asking themselves, can I first trust this software vendor? Is it going to be a good purchase? And they're trying to get as much information as possible from these software vendors. And one way to do that is to really look at reviews and get authentic feedback in terms of what the product does. Because at the end of the day, software vendors, they could say anything. When I talk to a software vendor, their product is the best. They always have a unique selling point. But some information we can only get by listening to the actual users. And buyers look at this, as I said, to gain trust and also to gather as much information as possible that the vendor is not telling, so that they can avoid mistakes and essentially make sure that they're making the right purchase decision. And really the mission for us, particularly in my role, is to help the customers make the right software purchase decision.
Yeah, that's exactly so. So when a customer is looking for to buy a business software, he or she is obviously looking for whether this product is for companies like our company. Is it used by customers who are similar to us? Do they have similar use cases, and so forth? So like Seth Godin, one of the marketing gurus, said that he basically concentrates the essentials of marketing in one phase. It's about people like us do things like this. And in the business context is obviously, do the companies similar to what we want to be, or what's our reference group, do they buy software like this? So it's really important to have right kind of customer reviews for your target market.
You're absolutely right, Antti. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I speak to the vendors, and sometimes they ask me, Dylan, we are targeting a very specific audience, maybe the finance industry, and we have a specific company size that we're looking for. And obviously, what I advise them to do when they're collecting reviews is that they only, or they try to get reviews just from the target audience that they want. So if you're targeting an enterprise customer as a vendor, even though if you have small, medium-sized vendors, maybe it's not the best idea to get at least the majority of the reviews from small-sized vendors. As you said, the customers are going to look at the reviews, look at which industry they're coming from, what their company size is, and if they're a similar fit or similar companies, of course, that's gonna be a good solution. So from a vendor side, it's interesting. As one of my, I guess, consultation, I tell them, let's focus on reviews that are going to be from very similar size, very similar industry for your potential buyers.
Yeah, and essentially from the companies that, if possible, that your clients are looking upwards to what they want to be, not necessarily what they are at the moment. For example, if you are a small business, you're targeting a small business, but you are very growth-minded. Maybe the best reference reviews are not from the vendors who are in the same situation where your prospect is at the moment, rather in the same situation where the prospects wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if we buy a pair of shoes, we obviously buy a pair of shoes used by professional basketball players, and not necessarily by someone from our reference group.
No, exactly. So yeah, the current customer group that they have and the future customer group that they have might be different, and I guess the suggestion that I made previously might not apply to that company. But I think it's really, really important to start the reviews collection process.
Yeah.
And people might have one of the example might be what you just mentioned. Because we want enterprise customers, we want to be looked at like an enterprise vendor. We're not going to collect any reviews from the small, medium-sized businesses that we have as clients. That I would say that's a wrong approach. Some vendors are, scared to get negative reviews as well, and then they just don't proactively collect reviews. So, of course, there are recommendations that I could tell to the vendor as to what type of reviews that they should collect to attract the right type of audiences. But the important thing is to actually collect reviews, whether it be from a small, medium-sized business company or whether it be negative reviews. I would venture to say that one negative review is better than absolutely zero reviews.
Yeah, if you don't have any reviews, you are not popular.
Exactly.
If you have few reviews, you at least have some friends.
Exactly.
If we put it in the personal context, and the same applies to, for example, if I go to Amazon and to buy some stuff, I almost never buy anything that haven't had any reviews. And even if the reviews are, let's say, 3 stars or something like that, what I'm looking for is to go through what kind of reviews there are, and I almost always go first to the bad ones,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not necessarily to see that how bad the product is, but to judge what kind of risks there are for some of the buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And usually what I'm seeing is that, okay, they were buying the product for the wrong use case, or they didn't get it. And the same with business software. The bad reviews, in a sense, increase believability and also increase to answer the question, what is the right use for the product and what is the wrong use? Because basically, as a vendor, you don't want to have a customer who is buying the product for a wrong use case, because you are
Mm-hmm.
going to have an unsatisfied customer who is only going to talk about shit about your product.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want those. You want to communicate with and target just the right audience, so that those who want to who use the product to just the right use case.
Exactly. So it could, as you said, to your point, it could help really filter out the correct audience by looking at the reviews and the use cases that they have. When I talk to vendors about reviews, I talk about the 3 pillars of reviews, which are quantity, uh, quality, and recency. Those are very the basic of reviews collection, and that vendors need to keep in mind. And what you touched upon was the quality of the reviews. And within the quality of the reviews, one of the factor is authenticity. So when a customer looks at all the reviews that the vendor have, and if 100 reviews are all 5 out of 5 stars, that doesn't seem very authentic. So sorry about that. And when you have negative reviews, or when you have 2, 3 star rating reviews, it actually builds the authenticity and the trust of the buyer, rather than having 100 5 out of 5 stars. So it, as my colleague said, it actually some negative reviews actually increases the engagement of the software buyers. And as you rightly pointed out, you look at the negative reviews first and really want to figure out why that negative reviews appeared, and if it's something that's gonna apply to you as well. And I do the exact same thing with restaurants, for example.
Yeah, the negative reviews are the quickest way to check the quality of the reviews, so that if you kind of see much quicker whether the reviews are bought for are bought or done by ton of friends or anything like that, and also the bad reviews also gives you an idea whether the bad reviews are probably generated by by the competitor, or
Yeah.
let's say organized by the competitor. You can easily see those in Amazon, not necessarily in a business software scene where it is much, let's say, much easier to see that whether the person who is rating the product has also bought the product and has really used the product. Whereas it's quite typical in places like Amazon that a ton of bad reviews are actually, let's say, sponsored campaign by a competitor who's buying someone to buy your product and then give bad reviews and returning the stuff. And
Yeah.
it doesn't cost too much. But do it for a business software, it's much more complicated, and so we don't see that much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this what you mentioned happens in every review world, I guess, where people are trying to put fake reviews. People are trying to increase their brand of authenticity by asking friends to review them in the right way. So this does happen, but the customer, as you said, can see this, and
Yeah.
that's why authenticity of the reviews is so important, and the variety of reviews as well. So some short, some long, some from one industry, another one from another industry. So having this variety of reviews for your company is really really important.
Yeah, no, of course, there needs to also be some depth in them. So they usually give, for example, for me, they give some insight to the product. They also validate whether it's going to solve some of my problems. Not necessarily all of them, because nobody's going to write 17-page reviews. But at least they can say that, okay, this solved that and that problem in my organization, and that gives me a hint that, okay, if I'm going to buy it, I'm buying it for the similar use case, or at least I have that problem, and or I have some fear that it might be difficult to solve in certain use cases. So the review might remove that fear from me. So in that sense, the more that the reviewers can tell about their case, is obviously helps me to make the right decision.
Exactly. And that's why quality of the review is so important, right? Because it influences the customer side and also influences the vendor side as well. If the quality is good, you can make the right choice for your company to buy the right software. And if the quality is good, vendors can take that in as feedback, not and help them guide in terms of strategic content creation or product development and future product roadmap. And it's just a great way to simply get feedback from the customers.
Yeah, you kind of see how the customers are seeing the product, how they are using it, what are the let's say, the main value points that you might need to underline in your marketing communication, which you haven't got yet. And obviously there will be uh, points that people would like to, let's say, that some suggestions that they hope that the product could be better in certain ways, and that's normal too. So anything that makes it more, let's say, um, realistic, it's better. The 5-star review where the reviewer just say that everything is okay and everything goes smoothly, it's not very valuable for the buyer.
Hmm. No, exactly. And I was, of course, we have Gartner research around the importance of reviews as well. And I do believe the audience listening to this already knows the importance of reviews. But just to highlight it in terms of numbers, for example, 66% of the buyers are looking at reviews and they admit that it makes a big influence in terms of their decision making process. And another stat was about 84% of the buyers look at reviews with the same importance as personal recommendation from other people. And that's just a massive influence in terms of your buying decision, your the customer buying journey. And I was thinking it's almost like your personal ambassador. Once you get all these good reviews stored within your website or third party website, they're selling in behalf of you, and it's going to be there forever.
Yeah, no. When I'm talking with the software vendors, as many of you know, that I lead the SaaS Finland club. Uh, Many are aware of getting bad reviews to start with. But like I said, the quantity is one thing that you start to build up the thing, and usually it's about the reviews that you are going to get are much better than you thought. So it might be that you are fearing something that isn't there. The other thing is that even average reviews will probably increase your sales. And with each review, you get feedback which makes you improve your sales pitch, your marketing communication, and your product and your service. So, and usually those things are not necessarily big things that cost you much. It's more like that you are not communicating it right. You are making wrong. They expect something else that you are delivering, so to speak. So they are
Exactly.
quite easy to adjust.
Yeah, what you just said was great. One of the stats that is gonna debunk the myth or make people, I guess, take action to collect reviews is that it wasn't a study done by it was another consultancy company, but 70% of the people or the buyers are happy to give a positive review if they get asked. So it's just a question of asking them.
Yeah.
If we wait for the reviews, you're not going to get it. You might get some bad reviews if you wait for it. But this stats just tells you that there are so many, 70% of your customers are basically satisfied. And it's such a common experience that software owners or software companies ask for reviews from a client, and then they get 7 out of 10 times they get a positive review, and it's just that's a massive differentiator that small medium-sized companies can do by just putting a little bit of effort and overcoming that fear, if you will. It's not even a fear. It's just to take that action to differentiate themselves from other companies.
I think one of the main things is to integrate it to your, let's say, onboarding customer success process. I think the fear often comes from the fact that your existing customers, which have been with you for years, they might not remember the transition that your product or the full impact that your product made in the beginning. So they are not even the best reviewers in such a sense. They just said, okay, it's quite of nice to use it, and okay, the user interface could be more modern or whatever. Whereas the new customers who remember the impact that you made, they can much easier tell that how much your product actually improved their whatever line, bottom line, top line, or
Yeah.
satisfaction or whatever. So it's really important to have it in the process, so that in a certain phase on onboarding, once you have cleared all the, let's say, practical issues, you ask for the reviews. Or how do you suggest or advise vendors to do it?
Yeah, you hit the nail in the head, Antti. So the best timing, this is in the collateral that I'll share with you as well. The best timing to ask for reviews is within 3 to 6 months, if I'm not misquoting.
Yeah.
It's around that time frame. That is the best time frame to ask for reviews, and for the exact reason you said. And you touched upon a really interesting advice as well that I was just going to say, which is process. So it's easy to say to a vendor, it's important to ask for reviews, but it is more realistic to know that this actually is going to happen if you put it within the process of whatever you have in terms of reviews collection and within an organization. And one way to do that is to ask for it within the onboarding time frame, which is, I think, fair to say 3 to 6 month time frame, and that's
Yeah.
the best time. And not only that, you can like simple things that you can do. Putting the reviews link in your email signature, or writing about a blog post about the importance of reviews, and then putting your reviews link at the bottom, or getting doing a social media post of your customer saying how amazing your product is, and on the bottom, by the way, if you want to write a review as well, this is the link. So these small things that you can do on your onboarding process, or when you share a blog, or when you post on social media, just simple step as putting it on those posts as a link. That's a great way to put it within the process, so that you don't even have to think about it, and you don't have to get annoyed by people like me and you advising people to get more reviews. You could say, I already do that. It's within the process.
Yeah. And if you have a sales-based process, so like many do, it's also you can add it there. So like for example, reference stories, which is not a similar thing. They need to be somewhere, like 3 to 6 months after signing the contract. Your key account manager calls the customer and asks, "Are you willing to give a reference stories, and can you rate and review us at the same time?" Tell the honest review. We don't ask anything else, and anything is valuable for us. And then one thing that people often, or the vendors often think that, okay, why should the customer do it? You said that 70% will do it just for the fun of it, but what about incentivification? Should a vendor incentivize a customer to give a review, and if so, how, in such a way that it doesn't affect the, let's say, pollute the answer, so to speak. So it's not a bribe. It's not something that will affect the review in what they will say, but it's more like paying for their troubles of spending half an hour or 10 minutes or what not to give such a review. What are the best practices there? Should they incentivize, or should they not incentivize?
Yeah, it's a great question. I believe it's just how you position the ask to the customer. So of course you want to be courteous of their time, appreciative of their time that they're putting into the reviews, the review that they're writing, and then a small token of generosity goes a long way. So in terms of that, I'm not against vendors giving a small generosity in an incentivized form, because it's something that I think the vendor is genuinely showing appreciation for, and it's not as a bribe, because the customer knows, the customer should know that, and if they have been a client for 3 to 6 months, an incentive is not gonna really. It might have some kind of effect, but if they're not satisfied, they're not satisfied. And I think they should be upfront in terms of the vendor should be upfront in terms of telling the customer that I'm doing this to get a genuine feedback from you, so that I can improve the product for you and for your future customer as well. So it's really about how you position the review that you're asking the customer for. And if you're going to use an incentive, using that in a very genuine way, not in a way, we'll give you 100 euros. Please give me a great review because I'm paying you.
Yeah.
That's just disgenuine, and I don't think software companies that do that is not going to. Well, it's maybe it's a moral question, but you're giving the incentive as it comes from your heart, not.
Yeah. Genuine thank you is the right way to do it. Whether you tell it before or just after they have done it, but anyway, make it thank them for their review, whether good or bad. And I think if you are afraid to ask in the first place, you probably have much bigger problems with your business.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you don't want to get feedback, and like I said, 70% will give a feedback
If
just
they
for
ask.
fun of it. And I think most of your customers, almost all of your customers, especially if you are talking about the 3 to 6 month time frame, they are going to give a good review anyway. You are not likely to have many who are already leaving you at that point. So
Exactly. And if they're gonna give you a bad review, you want to know that as quickly as possible.
yeah,
If your product is not satisfying the customer, and if it's not satisfying the market demand, you'd rather know that later, sooner than later as well. So that's another way to look at it.
but if you are asking at the 3 years from beginning, you probably have some of the customers already thinking that maybe they should move on to something else, and meaning that the reviews are not probably that good, or at least not that insightful for a potential new buyer.
Yeah, for sure. The timing is very important. Vendors need a process that allows them to easily ask for that, if you will, the golden opportunity window. But that shouldn't stop them to ask reviews from everyone as well. It's at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. The more ask you do for a review, the more reviews you're gonna get, and then the more feedback you're gonna get as well. So
And
you
the
know
more reviews you get and the more feedback you get, the more customers you are going to get,
exactly.
meaning that it will speed up the flywheel.
Hmm. For sure.
But what about what are the best practices of a good review? Or with good, I'm not necessarily saying the rating that you are getting, rather than what are the things that you need to ask to guide the customer to answer to review the product in the right way, so it's valuable for a buyer as well. Because what I'm seeing that, for example, many reference stories or testimonials are actually not very useful for a buyer, because they don't contain the structure in them. They are not answering the questions that the potential customers are asking.
Hmm.
So, what are your tips for getting for a good review structure? What needs to be asked?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing is that of course, we have to ask, and then the second thing is we have to ask again. So that's the action of asking, and the actual result of getting is the most important thing. But in terms of best practices in regards to what you ask for within the content of the review, I can only refer to what Gartner Digital Market is doing, which is where I work from. So they ask, they put it into several categories. So such as, what was the experience in terms of ease of use? What are your experience in terms of customer service? What are the experiences of features that you were able to use within the software? And the value for money that you think you got. And we also ask for the NPS score as well. How likely would you recommend the software to another person? We ask that in a rating format, those things that I just mentioned, out of 5 stars. And in terms of text, the written scripts, we ask for the overall feedback, the pros and cons, and if the vendor wants, they can also say the reason for choosing and the alternatives that they were considering to choose when they were shortlisting the products and the software that they were choosing.
You can easily understand why the last two ones are something that depends on whether vendor wants or not. It depends on your positioning in the market. So if you're the alternatives for choosing, if there are sub-segments in the market, that could be really valuable for the for a potential buyer to see that, okay, people who are buying your software are actually thinking about these other products, and it's totally different view than let me take, for example, car market. You want to be, if we are selling a sports car, you want to be referenced with the sports cars and not necessarily with another brands. And the alternatives for choosing are important if you want to be associated with certain niche of the market, but not necessarily if you are targeting the main market in the middle.
Exactly. And then in terms of personal experience, of course it's easier to use third-party sites like what we have in Gartner Digital Markets because the structure is already there. The reviews question is already there, and all the vendor has to do is just send that link. But if you're collecting reviews from a customer just via email without any structures, that what I've just mentioned could be a starting point to use when asking for reviews. And on on Gartner Digital Markets, we have started collecting video reviews, which is very, very powerful. And if you don't, as a software vendor, for some reason, if you don't want to use third-party companies to collect reviews, and if you're going to just personally ask a vendor to give you a review, I will highly recommend video reviews because it's just so much easier to consume. You can see the authenticity by watching the actual vendors talk about your software, and it's some people just like talking more than reading as well. And when I was covering the Indian market as a sales rep, a lot of the challenges or the recommendation we got from the Indian market is that people in India they like to talk and record a video. That would be so much easier for them than writing it, and that's just part of their culture.
Yeah, the video is so much more believable. There's so much, something like 80% of more information, although it's not coming in the text. It's about the background. It's about the person. It's about is this a person you relate to, in a sense? Well, like the people like us do things like this. It applies to any company or business context as well. Does a reviewer does it feel something like what you are or what you want to be, or something in your reference group, so to speak? And that seeing is believing here.
Exactly. And then I think the most important thing is to do as much work to collect review from the customer as well. If you're asking for a video review and if they ask you, if the customer's like, what should I say? Maybe you had a past conversation on the phone about the product that they're using. You could just say, oh, last time we spoke, you mentioned this about the product. Please say that on the video. So that my point is, make them work as less as possible for the customer to give you the review, whether it be for video or written reviews.
So let's move on to the question of, should you have the reviews on just one place, concentrate all of the efforts in one place, or on to the multiple baskets, which is a which is the right strategy, or is there a right strategy here?
The right strategy is just on Gartner Digital Markets, nowhere else. No, I'm just
Okay.
joking. I'm joking. The right strategy is to get your reviews in as many places as possible. That's what I advise the vendors. So this is a really interesting topic. When you, for example, type in, let's just say, construction software on Google, you will start to see that, or you will already see that most of the results on the first page of Google's are comparison articles and reviews and ratings platform, such as ours. But we're not saying, we don't pretend for a second that we're the only one that exists. You want to be present in as many of those reviews platforms as well. So a great exercise that you can do is really put yourselves in the buyer's shoes and type these keywords on Google and then see which reviews and ratings platforms are ranking. And it's not which one do you want to be in, you want to be in all of them. And then just as a shameless plugin, we do own 3 reviews, ratings, and website. So your effort will be significantly diminished because if you get 1 review on our platform, we will just copy it across too.
All right. The one thing is that my point is that, of course, not always being as many is the best strategy if you are choosing the sites in the wrong way. So you need to be on the right sites, and with the right sites mean the sites that your target audience relates to. So if you have your reviews, if a blogger is reviewing your product and the blogger's audience feels totally different than what you are targeting to, that might be actually a negative impact to you. Or if you are being reviewed on a small business website or a small business catalog and you're targeting enterprise customers, for example, that might give the wrong indication to someone who's looking for a product and they might think that, okay, this is for small businesses and we are an enterprise. And so as many, but with the right, let's say, as many right places.
100%. What you were saying is absolutely correct. And I think it's just the question of prioritizing where the review goes if you're looking at reviews website. So, for example, the easiest example that I can think of is as Gartner, we have Peer Insights as well, which is a review site that Gartner themselves created. And the companies that are there are mainly targeting the enterprise customers. So if you have a product that is only targeting enterprise customers, maybe it's a smart choice to go to Pure Insight first and try to collect reviews there, then going to other sites. So it's really important to understand what type of buyer audience is going to that review site. And then according to that, you need to choose the right site. And also, you want to make sure that the review sites that you're thinking to get review from is vetting or doing quality and assurance for the reviews that they're getting. That's another important aspect as well. You don't necessarily want to be on a review site where they just approve any type of reviews. And this goes back to the quality. It's if the quality is not good, it's not good for the customer, not good for the vendors, and not good for the review site as well. So you want to make sure if you're going to pick a review site and if you're going to prioritize them, they're vetting and going through the reviews so that it's authentic and high quality.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that, for example, on your review sites, they are all all very professional, and the problems are usually coming if you are going to, let's say, on the shady side of the internet, on some small catalogs or things like that, where you might not want to be reviewed with tons of different ads from
Yeah.
network casinos and stuff like that being present at the same time. So that also might give you the wrong context about your product.
Hmm.
Whereas in the business catalogs like Capterra, GetApp, or Software Advisor, Pera Insights, for example, your catalogs, or if you have an iPhone app on the App Store or something like that, they are, let's say, the right places to be, but not necessarily on the sales sides of the internet.
Exactly. Um, and it's just if you choose the right review site, it's just extra credibility for your company as well.
Yeah,
The customer is gonna trust the review that comes from third party company, and it's the same with everything. When you reference the data, it's so much more powerful than me saying the data. Or it's so much more powerful when I quote a third party company rather than me just saying the data. And it's just same with the review site.
yeah,
When a customer looks at a review on the vendor's website, and then if it doesn't mention the source, they're gonna trust it less. Whereas if it mentions the source where it comes from, we software review sites really uh, yeah, pride themselves in terms of quality. So yeah, that's another important aspect.
yeah. And one of the, let's say, if you start to search in Google for about the product, one of the suggestions that are easily coming up by Google is the product name, and after that, reviews or experiences or stuff like that. So people are usually during their purchase process, they are searching, at least certain customers are searching for what other people are saying about this product.
Mm-hmm.
So having the reviews in multiple respectable sites increase the possibility to answer the question, answer the fear, and to be shortlisted and to have the discussion with the client. If you are not shortlisted, you are not going to get a form filled on your website or sign up done or free trial tried or whatever your call to action is. You are just being left out without respectable, let's say, reviews.
Exactly. Exactly.
But what about one thing that I think we need to discuss a bit? Many SaaS vendors think that, okay, if you are having a free trial or a freemium product, you don't need reviews because people can try it out themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's a big misconception. Um, First of all, the the probability that they might even the vendors are having an assumption that just because they have a free trial, the customer is going to use their time to to sign up for a free trial. There in this day and age, there's so many options of free trial itself. The customer needs to shortlist what they're going to use and what they're going to spend time on. So when they need to choose even the free trial, the review process will having reviews will help. And one of the key impact that reviews have is just the acceleration that the customer goes through within the sales process. So even if they're satisfied with the free trial that they've done, they might be satisfied with another vendor's free trial. And now how are they going to make a decision? One way to make a decision and choose a product is to look at the reviews. and that's gonna really accelerate the sales process, and that's what companies want. They're more revenue at a faster pace.
Yeah, exactly, and that definitely is a misconception, because you won't get that free trial or sign up or free tire usage if you are not going to be shortlisted, or even trying a product is always ton of pain, really.
Mm-hmm.
There's hardly any SaaS product or internet site or anything like that which is so easy and effortless to try out and gives you the value right away after filling out the sign-up form. For many people, even trying to invent yet another password to do the sign-up is just a huge pain. Whereas for a vendor, it seems like this is a super simple sign-up process. Whereas for the customer, it's not necessarily so.
Exactly. Now that we're talking about misconceptions, some vendors, for example, in security softwares, like I don't know, cybersecurity
Yeah.
software. One of the things that they tell me is that their clients is the clients that they have, they're worried that if they submit a review, people will know what cybersecurity software they're using, which uh, which they don't want the public to know.
Yeah.
But we review sites aren't stupid, so we know those situations happen. And what people can do is submit a review without or basically being anonymous. So vendors can ask for customers, and you can assure the customers that your company name and your name is not going to be shown.
Yeah.
It'll just say verified review or whatever. And then again, it just comes back to obviously convincing the vendor, but also the vendor positioning the review in the right way when they're asking for it in the customer, making sure that if you take these steps, you won't be shown as your name, your company wouldn't be shown. And the reason why we're asking for this is because it's very important for our feedback and for our company. So it just comes down to, the communication you have when you're asking the reviews, and how I position it to the vendor as well.
Just a second, there's some delivery. I just need to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah. The luxury of a recorded podcast that you can take breaks.
Yeah.
But I think the same applies also for fear of having the reviews, or some companies, some vendors think that if they ask their customers to give reviews, their competitors know who their customers are and go after them. And I think I hear the solution for that as well. It's the same that for those cybersecurity products, that giving an anonymous feedback, anonymous review is a way to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. It's there are ways to overcome the challenges that the vendors are facing. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's where your focus goes, right? Are you not collecting reviews because you're afraid that your competitor is going to steal your business? Is that where your focus is? Or is your focus, you want to collect reviews because you want to make your product better, you want to make your sales cycle faster, you want to get more customers? It's just a question of where the mind is focusing on. Is it the fear of what you just said, losing customers to your competitors, or is it an expansion plan for your company.
What about how can you help, and what is the right strategy for getting the reviews?
Yes. So we can help customers in a very simple way.
Oh, let me phrase the question in a different way. I think
Yeah.
uh, this was not the best opening for that. So let's cut back here. So let's quickly go through the main steps of getting reviews. So the first one of obviously is yes, do get reviews. The second one is to use multiple sites, use the right review sites for your audience. Use the reviews as many places as possible. If you get them on the review site, use it on your websites, on your email, on the social media, and think other ways to leverage them more. So let's go to the question: how can you help, and what are the practical steps to go get going, for example, with you? So if I'm a SaaS company, for example, what should I do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, what how we can help is obviously give you that credibility first of all. Us being a Gartner brand, a trusted resource within the software community, we can once you get a review with us, it works as another layer of trust element for your potential customers that you want to target in the future. And we obviously have different processes that we can help you with. One of one of the common service that we have for reviews are in three folds. So we help customers collect reviews in events. That's one way to collect reviews. We also help customers collect reviews by automating the email reviews collection process by sending an email marketing campaign. So uh, what will happen is we will send an email campaign from our email address to the customers that the vendor has.
And
And
for many customers, you are a known brand already. They have used your services when selecting products in the past, so they know where and how they are going to give the reviews, probably.
exactly. And then the third way is what we call our self-service. We will just provide you the email templates that you can send to your customers, and you can send that template at your own convenience. So those are the three main ways: the events, the email drip campaign that we run for you, and then the self-service campaign that you run for yourself. But in all forms, we are essentially providing a vehicle to contact the customer, and the last two vehicle is email. And having the vehicle given to you, all you have to do is basically send that to your customers. I'm not talking about the events so much because it's not a common thing these days. But when you focus on these two free services that we have of basically giving you a pre-made template that we used for years and years that we know works, and just giving you guidance in terms of how to send it, when to send it, uh, what you should do once you get a response, etc., etc., is a very, very easy way for you to get, for vendors to get started in the reviews collection journey or continue on the reviews collection journey. And actually, if you do already have a profile on Gartner Digital Markets, you're assigned to a dedicated reviews rep that could help you re-explain what I just explained and give you free consultation in terms of how you can collect reviews generally, and also how you can best leverage the services that we have that I just mentioned. And all of it is for free. And the reason why it's for free is because we really our our vision is to empower organizations to accelerate their growth by helping them embrace the right services and the right technology. So when that vision for us is there, really one of the biggest way we can accomplish that vision is to collect reviews so that it can help the customer choose the right software, and it can help the vendors be in front of the right customers. So that's why it's a free process for us, because in the long run, it creates so much value that we know we're going to get it back in another way or one way or another.
So what are the, let's go through your sites quickly as well as a reminder. So you have the peer insights, we talk about that. That's more focused on the enterprise side. But what about the rest? Capterra, GetApp, software advice. What are the differences? So short answer, so to speak.
Yeah. So I don't represent Pure Insights. That's the core Gartner represents that. I represent Capterra, GetApp, and Software Advice. And just to keep it very short, Capterra is our flagship site. We get the most traffic volume on that website, and we cater for audiences that are really in the top of the funnel. So people typing in on Google, for example, CRM software, we will appear. GetApp sees a little bit less traffic, but it's catering for the audiences that are a little bit lower in the funnel than Capterra. And that's because we rank high for comparison keywords, security keywords, and integration keywords. The listing on GetApp itself is more detailed and focused on how it can integrate with other softwares. So it attracts people that are what we call software savvy and tech savvy. And lastly, software advice sees less traffic than Chapter, as I said. And as the name suggests, software advice, we give advice to customers that come to our website. All they have to do is come to our website, and an advisor will call the potential software buyer, and we will personally give them 5 recommendations of different software that they can handpick from. And it's for free. We give the advice for free, and those are the short explanation of the 3 sites we have.
Okay, makes much more sense for me now.
Okay,
So, it kind of have been difficult to understand why do you have such many sites, but obviously it totally makes sense. They are in a different, let's say, a little bit for a different kind of customers as well. Those who are going to go to the Capterra don't know much about the market yet. They are looking for what they're doing, the early market research and getting know. Whereas for GetApp, you probably have a much better understanding of the market. You are probably upgrading from one product to another or something like that, and you need much more information, or you are making comparison between a couple of products. And software advice is the 5-star hotel version.
Yeah, it's for people that don't want to do any research. They just want to call up someone, and they want to just get recommendations.
They have a problem which they want to solve, and obviously the challenge, of course, for many buyers is that they don't know what's the category that they should be looking for, and in those cases, software advice is probably the best place for them to go if they don't know what kind of category product they should look for.
For sure, that's absolutely right. If they don't even know what they're looking for, but they have a problem that they know that a software can solve, that's a great place to go.
Yeah, no, of course, the answer could be the three products from totally different categories. So
Yeah,
uh, usually the solutions can even be totally different. So you can have an apple, or you can have a Coke, or have a lunch if you are hungry. So
exactly.
different categories.
Oh.
For final questions, a question: how do you, if you are a software vendor, how do you start? Where do you go? Where do you call? Not necessarily Ghostbusters here, but probably Dylan.
Yeah, the easiest way to go to find us is, sorry, let me just, I don't want to misquote this. So you can go to Gartner.com /en /digital markets, and that's going to be our basically the face of the company. That's where you can go to get information about the three sites, chapter, app, and software advice, and you will have a call to action button that says get started. And as soon as you submit your contact information, we will contact you to assist you further. Remember that even if you have a listing with us already, this is a good way to get hold of us. But obviously, if you have been in contact with our previous reps or our review reps, the best way is to just contact them directly.
In any case, we'll have the links in the episode description, so you can go there and click there if you
Yeah,
are listening this on your car or on the phone.
exactly. And I'll send you all the collaterals that I referenced the data points from as well.
So basically, if we wrap these things up, yes, do get started. And one of the best ways to get started if you're a software vendor is to get started with Gartner Digital Markets and then expand to other places first, obviously to your website and emails and social media to leverage those to get going with the reviews, and that hope will get your business fly again or fly higher than previously. So anything else to add to that? Let's say the core strategy is to get started. And
Yeah, I think you said it already. It's so important to get it started, and then to really build the process for collecting reviews. One thing that we didn't touch today was the recency of the reviews. We tend to see that depending on the studies, customers are looking at only reviews that are 3 months old or 6 months old. So reviews that are older than that, they're not looking. So it's really important to, of course, have a conscious mind that it's important to collect reviews, but have a process in place so that the reviews come in automatically, maybe even one review per month, so that your profile stays fresh within the listings that you have maybe on Gartner Digital Markets or other review sites. But it's just a question of, yeah, leveraging. Um, we have a link that you can just cut and paste on your email signature or social blog post, and then making sure that is already there. So this process of collecting reviews is happening all in the background, and you don't even have to think about it. So yeah, initiating it and then making it a process so everything is automatic will be the best advice that I could give to software SMB companies and enterprise software companies as well.
that kind of wraps up this episode nicely. So there we have all the let's say main points to get started. Thank you, Dylan, for being with me in this episode, and I hope we thank all the listeners as well. Hope we'll see your reviews soon, at least in somewhere on the internet.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, too.